our main session of the day, that is gender safety, and we have Hellen Gachoki for that. She's going to share with us the issues on this subject. And Hellen Gachoki, she's an ESH specialist in Kenya with over 5 years of experience in this field, particularly in the manufacturing and construction industry. And she's going to share with us some of the experiences that she had over the years with issues to do with gender. We say over the years there have been movements, there have been campaigns about gender equality, about gender balance, and all those they've been successful, but with environmental health and safety, we can't speak about gender equality. We, of course, we do promote it, but when it comes to the issues of safety, to the issues of health, we don't say one size fits all. We say we talk about gender equitness, where we recognize the difference between men and women, and the difference between the difference that are between the male species and also the female species. That is to say, when we are managing risk, when we are managing safety issues at our workplaces, we need to take gender sensitive approaches so as to consider some of the visible differences between male and female, such that the controls that we implement, the measures that we implement will be very effective, and they'll give us good positive result. So I'm giving this opportunity to Hellen, so that she goes on the subject, and everyone, let's pay attention and also share our thoughts on this subject at the end of the presentation. Hellen, are you ready?
Hi, Mungazi, I'm ready. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, everyone.
Okay.
Good morning, how are you?
Very good, very good.
Welcome. Let me give you the opportunity to share your screen and present with us. Morning, how are you?
Okay, so good morning from wherever you are, and good afternoon to the few people that are from the Middle East. It's so good to be here. First of all, I want to thank ESH Africa for giving me this opportunity to talk about an issue that is very close to my heart, seeing as I'm a woman in a male-dominated field. So today we'll be talking about gender safety, and to put context to the topic that we'll be discussing, we'll be looking at gender-specific issues that are faced by professionals in this field that we are in. And as we all know, the field that we are in is quite dynamic, it's quite big, diverse, and there are so many sub-specializations that are there in the field. We have people that deal with industrial hygiene purely, and these are people that measure workplace hazards or stresses that can cause sicknesses, impaired health and discomfort through either chemical hazards, biological hazards, ergonomic hazards, all those. So these are people that, they take the measurements and all that. So these are the industrial hygienists. We also have people who are purely in the firefighting arena. And this is also part of the safety and health in the workplace. So these are the people that come when there are emergencies. This tie in with the emergency responders, which is a point down below there. So they are the first responders. We also have ESH specialists. We have EHS advisors. These are basically the consultants. We also have the compliance auditors and inspectors that might come from different government institutions. For Zimbabwe, I believe it's the NSSA. For Kenya, it's the DOSH. I am yet to be acquainted to the rest of the government bodies in the rest of the countries in Africa, but it's a journey. Then we also have trainers. We have occupational nurses, we have safety engineers and security managers. All these are different people that are in the field of EHS, and depending on which specialization that these people are in, they will face different or very unique kind of issues. So we are talking so much about gender, but first of all, we need to really define what really is gender. And gender and sex mostly is used interchangeably, but there's a very distinct distinction between the two, where we say that sex is basically the defined by the male or the female sexual reproductive organs that one has, whereas gender is the socially constructed roles and behaviors that a society typically associates with males and females. So this is how we were growing up, especially in the African culture. We knew that boys and men are supposed to do this, and girls and women are supposed to do this. Growing up, we were told that, you know, those very tough jobs are for the men because they need somebody who is strong, somebody who is brave, and things like that. While for women, we tend to be nurtured around the areas of being caring, being nurturing, and all that. So as we grow up, we find ourselves in gender constructed gender roles, in that we find women are in roles that are nurturing in nature, things like hospitality, the service industry, while we find more men are in the manly or masculine workplaces or areas of work, such as mining, oil and gas, and things like that. The other very important thing that I would like us to note as we go about this presentation is that gender also can also be defined as one's identity as either female or male, or as neither entirely female or entirely male. So we have an emerging issue in the world right now, where we have the LGBTQIA community. And even as we are promoting for equality and equity in the workplaces, this minority group should also be considered. So as part of this presentation, we will look at some of the issues that they might, EHS professionals who are in this community might face. But basically, if somebody identifies themselves as somehow male, but not entirely male, they will face the challenges that men face in addition to the ones of the LGBTQIA community. If a woman identifies herself as not entirely female, she will face the challenges that females face, as well as the people that are in the community of the LGBTQIA community. So I'll start by looking at some of the common EHS issues that we face as professionals, both genders, or not say both genders, all genders, because we have already seen that there's also the LGBTQIA community. So the first and the most common one, and I believe most of us here can relate to it, is the veteran syndrome. And especially when you're still quite young in the industry, the veteran syndrome is where you meet people that have been in that particular area of work or area of expertise for very many years. So when you come in as an EHS professional, of course, there are, you have perceived there are some risks that are there, or there is a way that you need to correct them. Remember, as EHS professionals, we are not police officers. We are just trying to make people work in a safer way so that they get back home safely and all that. So you might come across people, some groups of people that you try to correct, and then people go like, what are you telling me? I have been doing this thing for 10, 20, 30 years, and I've never gotten harmed. This thing cannot harm me. So that is a very big challenge, and I believe most of us can attest to that, and maybe you have faced it at one point or another in your professional journey. Another common issue that is faced by by all genders in this field of ours is getting PPE that fits. PPE is personal protective equipment. Now, this is especially for people who might be extremes in body size or some parts of the body. So sometimes you might find a very tall man or a very well-built man. So getting his maybe coveralls or getting, say, harness that can accommodate his weight and all that might be a bit tricky. So they might be all those challenges. And the same can also be said for people who are on the other extreme. If you say find somebody that is quite, short, you expect that they have a very short leg. And I believe everyone here knows that if there's something that is hard to get in the market is a small safety boot or a small safety shoe. So that is another very common EHS issue that we face as professionals in the field. Another issue is the working environment and the hazards present. Of course, we know that our daily lives in this profession deals with meeting with hazards, and the hazards change, or the hazards can be quite many depending on the type of work or the industry that you are in. And these hazards are very unique to the particular area of work or the particular industry that you work in. So in the mining industry, there are those very specific hazards that are there. In the oil and gas, especially say like somebody mentioned in the Middle East, you know that hot temperatures and things like that are issues that they may face. So those are some of the issues that we might face under the working environment and the hazards present, which stress can also be one of them. Then we also have physical violence. Physical violence is a very common issue that is faced. I've especially seen most of the violence cases in the construction industry. And this happens where there are people of different race or even the same race, and they disagree about something. Say you're an EHS professional and you found somebody doing something that is not right. Maybe you've corrected them time and time again, but still they continue with the wrong thing. So you might have a punishment or something program in place. And when you tell this particular worker that now, because we have given you warnings and yet you continue with this violation, these are the steps that we will take. Maybe get off site for two weeks, a suspension or an expulsion. And the worker might decide to throw a fist at you or something. So physical violence against our professions, people in our profession, is something that is very common. And as I jump into the gender issues that are faced by males or men in this particular field, I think I have seen more males being physically attacked, more male EHS professionals than females. I remember a few months ago, there was a video that was going around social media of some African country. Somebody was attacked, an EHS professional was attacked while conducting a toolbox talk by the supervisor, who happened to be a Chinese man. So this kind of cases are very common, and that's one of the issues that are faced by men. Sometimes you find that, men have this, you don't tell me this, I know what I'm doing. So that might happen. Even as we talk about the gender issues here faced by men, I'd also want, maybe in the comment section, in the chat section, or after this presentation that I gave, we can have more points that maybe the men can tell us about, so that we can note them down and maybe find solutions on the same, see what resonates with our particular workplaces, and advise management on how it can be improved. Now, another gender issue that is faced by males or men in our field is the expectations relating to masculinity, or something that is called hypermasculinity. And this basically means the demands that the societal demands that expect men to be tough. They expect men to face danger and tell them, the man is supposed to take care of people. The man is supposed to face danger in the eye and things like that. So you find that men tend to act tough and emotionally indifferent in the face of danger. Say, for example, an EHS professional who might be a firefighter or maybe the chief fire marshal in the particular workplace. And if a fire occurs in the workplace, this man or this chief marshal will be expected to be brave, notwithstanding the psychological trauma that he might be going through, notwithstanding any fears that he might have. He's expected to attack the fire and all that, maybe say go and evacuate people that may be in the building. So this might affect the man himself, and the man might feel that, oh, if I say that I am fearful, if I say that I don't want to do this, people might laugh at me, people might think, Kwani, what kind of a man are you? So this is also an issue that might be faced by men, and maybe if you have an experience of the same, you can also tell us about it later. Another issue, very important issue, is traumatic injuries that occur within the workplace. Now, we know that as EHS professionals, it's one of our duties to investigate incidents and accidents that occur in the workplace. So an incident has occurred in the workplace. Remember, this is a workplace that you've been in. These are people that you have interacted with day in, day out. And an incident occurs, maybe a disabling incident, a fatality, and you are expected to be there, notwithstanding your emotions, but you're expected to be there. You're supposed to look at what might have caused the injury, the incident, do the whole incident investigation and all that. So you're not, in most cases, men tend to put their feelings in a back pocket and just deal with the work that they're supposed to do. And this might cause them to, later, they are like, I actually knew that person, or that could have been me, or something like that. And the African culture, from the beginning, it has told men that, you don't talk about these things. I mean, you're supposed to be strong, you're supposed to take these things head on, you're not supposed to cry. So these things, when they occur in the workplace, they might cause traumatic injuries to the EHS professional, and they might not even be able to talk about it, they may not be able to address it. And this is one of the gender issues, of course, that they face. Another thing that the males face is something that I like calling moving presentations. So especially in my consultative experience, I have seen that when I do trainings and when my male counterparts do training, the kind of feedback that I get is this particular group of people that I trained, or maybe on a specific day, they were very attentive and all that. But when a male counterpart goes to train them the following day or the following session, the attendees, they keep on walking out of class. They are grown men and women, so you can't tell them, hey, sit down, you have to ask me for permission before you go out. So they keep on having those people who are moving. So I call that moving presentations. So by the time you're finished doing your training or your presentation as a man, you find that you are left alone or with one or two participants out of a class of maybe 30 people. So men tend to have that moving presentations, especially from their fellow men. But as we will see later when we are looking at the gender issues that are faced by females, you'll find that people will, the reverse is true for women, and not for the same, and not for sinister reasons, and we'll discuss that. Then another very unique, probably might not be applicable to everyone, is women bosses. Some men feel that having women bosses is a challenge for them in this field, for the reason that, say, probably the woman herself, the boss herself, is a bit tough on the man. And again, the African culture, we are brought up to know that the woman should be submissive. So if you're a man and the woman is not, of course, submitting to you, because this is a workplace, and the woman is telling you, do this, do that, you're like, this woman cannot be giving me commands. And you will have a particular attitude towards the boss. And of course, this will not work well in your professional relationship. So you will always feel that these women bosses or these women supervisors or managers that are giving you instructions are not really professional per se, and this might affect how you carry out your duties as an EHS professional. So these are some of the issues that I picked up from the men, from the gender issues that men may face. For the men that are in the forum, you can go on. We can keep the conversation going in the chat. Let me now talk about some of the things that I have faced and fellow women have faced in the industry. Maybe not all, but some may resonate with them. So the first thing that, or the first issue that most females in our field face is the different perception of risk. We find that as women, and I included, and especially when we are a bit young in the profession, we see things and we feel, hey, that thing looks risky. But to our male counterparts, the same is they don't feel like it's that risky. They see it as manageable. So you might, or as an EHS professional, maybe you're doing your risk assessments and you're like, this risk, this thing that they're doing, this particular activity can have these big risks. So they give it a high rating. Whereas if an actual person who is on the ground or a male counterpart were to do the same risk assessment, they would find that maybe their perception of the risk will not be that low, will not be that high, and maybe they would give a lower rating for that risk. So this different perception of risk by females might create an issue for them when they are trying to tackle EHS issues. Another thing that, and this is, I believe every female has encountered, is acquiring PPE. It's very hard to acquire PPE for women. You find that when you're trying to acquire PPE that is for women, and you go to the suppliers or the manufacturers and you tell them, I would like a few pieces or one piece or whatever of female PPE. So they will, or you'll ask them, do you have any PPE for women? And the manufacturer, the supplier will be like, yeah, we have pink and purple PPE. And it's not about the color, because if it's for the shoe, you will find that they do not produce in bulk smaller sizes of shoes. Yet you find most women have smaller sizes of shoes. And if it's not, not only are they smaller, but women's legs tend to be thinner, so it's a small fit. So you find that when this PPE or when these safety shoes for women are not available, they are forced to wear a bigger fit of shoe. And when they go out to the field, of course, this creates a hazard for them. And women tend to put cloths or pieces of paper inside the shoe so that, it can fit. And this is a very common issue. Another thing about the PPE problem is you find most manufacturers, when they're making the PPE, say it's something like a coverall, they will create them in a particular, the sizes. So small, medium, large, and all that, but they do not take into account the different shapes and sizes that women come in. So you might give me a smaller size of a man's coverall, but maybe I am big chested, so it might not cover my chest well. Probably I'm a bit more curvy than the normal, how you would find it. So for it to fit my legs and my thighs, it's a bit hard. So acquiring PPE that fits and that is durable and all those other things that we need to consider when we are acquiring PPE for women is a bit difficult. Another issue that women face in this field is underrepresentation, especially in the leadership roles. We tend, I don't know about the people that have been there in the industry for longer, but even for myself, when I started out in this particular profession, I knew a number of colleagues, female colleagues that we were with. 5 years down the line, I can count on my hand how many have dropped off. So as we go by, as the years go on, we find that by the time females get to be in the positions of leadership, there are no females to be there, so they become underrepresented. And when they are underrepresented, then their issues are not brought up in the, the boardrooms, in the management levels. And that's why we keep having these gender issues, because there's nobody to bring this female voice up to the executive levels. Another important thing, or another important issue, and this is across the board, be it in our profession, be it in engineering, all other professions within the world, you find that there is that general gender pay gap. Whatever a man is getting, a female or a woman who has the equal qualification, equal experience, all that tends to have slightly lower pay or lower salary than her male counterpart. And this can be really demoralizing for the females, and they might feel like, I am not being appreciated enough, my efforts are not appreciated, my experience and my expertise is being looked down upon, or something like that. And the other thing about the pay gap is you find that when we are going to do salary review and all that, for a woman, the way we have been cultured in our African culture is you do not argue a lot. You take what you're given. So even when you're doing the salary review and asking for an increment, you will, the manager might, have that notion that, why are you complaining a lot? You're already giving you something, just get satisfied with that, we'll just add something small. But if it was for a man, he would not be facing the same challenges. So I know that there is a lot that is being done to promote equal pay, especially in multinationals, but I believe that the same can also trickle down to even the small organizations that we have in our countries. So let's continue promoting for equal pay among both males and females. Another issue that we face is access to welfare facilities in the workplace. And these welfare facilities include toilets, changing rooms, maternal care facilities. In the construction industry, I can talk about that because I've been there. We find that you might go to a construction zone, and because you're maybe one or two females, you find that the management did not see it fit to have a female toilet because, there are so many more men. So if you need to use the washroom, just go to the males, make sure you lock it. You'll be good, you'll be okay. So that is one issue. The other issue on the toilets is sometimes we go to the toilets and we find that these toilets are too dirty. And for females, I'm not saying that men are dirty, but women are a certain way. So they might feel uncomfortable going to these toilets, and for the way we are made up, we have to go somewhere closed and all that. So they might feel a bit uncomfortable and they tend to hold it in. So they'll hold it in, and we are told not to hold in these things, the bladder, it might cause some medical issues later. So access to welfare facilities should be well provided, this toilet and all that. Same case for the changing rooms. Changing rooms sometimes, because of the few number of women that might be there in these particular workplaces or in the sites, again, the management do not see it fit to provide a particular changing room for women. Say you're just one woman who needs to change. So they say, you can just go and change in the office, or go and change in the washroom, or go and change in the first aid room. And this is not advisable because the law, at least in Kenya, provides for provision of a changing room and facilities for storing your extra clothes or your personal effects while you are at work. Then also the issue of maternal care facilities. Say a woman has just come from her maternity leave, and of course she's still breastfeeding the baby. So in the workplace, she might require some space to go and do some expressing of the milk and maybe storage of the expressed milk. But this can be quite a challenge in fields like in the mining industry, the oil and gas, things like construction, these facilities might not be there. So a woman might feel challenged to go back to work, to go back to site, knowing that these things will not be there and she will require to do these things. So women tend to just decide to, let me just take a break out of work. Once I have finished bringing up my children, they are of school going age, I will get back to the market. So this is another very pertinent issue that we find as women in this particular field. Again, the veteran syndrome, I had talked about it, and it's worse for women, I believe, because first of all, you're telling men who have been in the industry for a long time what they're supposed to do, and they've been doing it a certain way. Second of all, you're a woman. It's worse off if you're a young woman. This one I know firsthand. So they are telling, I have had cases where a grown man will just look at me and ask me, you just came out of school the other day, you were in, even when you were in school or even before you were born, I was doing this thing. What are you telling me? So you find that as a challenge, especially as women. Then there are those gender roles or societal expectations that, what society expects of women. Women are expected to take care of their families, take care of the children, take care of the home. And in the fast changing world that we are in, we find that in most homesteads, we require a double income. The man's income is not enough. There's also the case of there's a rising cases of single parents where the women have the children on their own. So you can't tell this woman to stay at home and there's no income. So she has to go out and look for work. So the society might look down on this person. They'll be like, what is wrong with this woman? Why can't she just take care of her child? It's worse off if you're working very far from, your work site is very far from where your home is. They'll be like, now she's even left the children with the aunt or the grandparents to go and, look for money. Sometimes, of course, they don't say you're looking for money. So there are those societal expectations that when we go against the norm, people tend to have these negative things that they say, and they do not work well to the psychological state of this particular professionals. Then there is the point on false attention. This is where I was talking about the training. And on the male side or the men's side, I said that they have the moving presentation. Now, on the flip side, if you're a woman and you're giving these presentations, or you're talking about a particular issue on site, or you're trying to correct someone and all that, the men will be like, hey, let's go and listen to what Madame is saying. But they're not really listening to the issue that you're trying to address. At least most of them don't, especially the casuals and the skilled laborers. Mostly what they're doing is they want to hear how this woman talks. They want to hear what she says, out of the male chauvinism, quote unquote. So that false attention really does not help us in the profession, because it's besides the point that we are trying to make. You're trying to train these people, you're trying to show them how to work safely, you're trying to drive home a safety issue, but these people are not even there. Mentally, they are not there, they are not listening. You'll come out of there and you will ask them what was being said, they'll just say one words, but because that's not what they were doing. They were not actually listening. They were just looking at how, this woman is talking and, those kind of things. Then another issue that is faced by females is the imposter syndrome. And this imposter syndrome is believing that you're not as competent as others perceive you to be. So women have that. It's very common for a woman to downplay her achievements and thinking, it was something that, it feels normal. And I have to say that I am a victim of this. I remember when I was sharing the poster for this particular webinar, and somebody said, oh, wow, I didn't know you do all that. I didn't know all that. And I was like, I was tempted to just shut him down and say, that is just something that is so obvious. I mean, it's not that big of an achievement, but I caught myself because, this negative, that's basically negative self-talk. And we have it a lot as women, and especially high achieving women. So they find it difficult to accept their accomplishments. So even when again, they require to be asking for salary increment and things like that. They will feel that their achievements are not as big. But if it was our male counterparts, you know, the accolades, they like being told, hey, you're doing good and all that. Of course, even women feel good when they're told that, but they tend to downplay it. So there's the imposter syndrome. Other issues include the work organization and work environment. Now, under work organization, what we basically mean here is things like how the work is organized. If you're talking about the working hours in the particular workplace, the shifts, if they are there, the day shifts, the night shifts, off days. So again, women are required, or the society expects the woman to be, to take care of the children. Sometimes you expect the woman to make sure that if she wants to leave the house, she leaves after the children have gone to school. Make sure she's early enough to pick the children from school or be there when the children are coming from school, help the children with homework, cook for the children and the husband and all that, clean up and all that and all that. So of course, with an 8 to 5 job, and if maybe you're working far away from where you live, or if you're in a country or a town like we am in Nairobi, where traffic jam is the order of the day, you cannot leave the house to go to work after the children have gone to school. It might be a bit tough. So work organization, maybe the working hours might be a bit challenging for the woman to put that in and also do what the society expects of her. There's also the off days and the shifts. Sometimes the shift might require the woman to work at night. And this is a very big challenge, because you might find that if she says she's going to work at night, the husband might be like, are you sure you're going to work, or you have your own things? So there is that aspect. There's also the aspect of violence, seen as when we have night shifts, there are not as many people in the workplace as normal. So women might be prone to workplace violence in such instances during night shifts and all. Then also the other thing about off days. If the work is organized in such a way that a woman is required to work, maybe say over the weekends, it might be a bit tricky on the woman, because again, there are those issues that require her attention at home. If it's the children, it's a weekend and they might need to bond a little with the mom and all that, but you find that the mom is working and probably is working whole of Saturday, whole of Sunday. So this might create a bit of problems with her work-life balance. Then we also have organizational culture and support systems, or in some cases, those support systems might not be there. So these are something like when we talk about organizational culture, we are talking about how does management view things like violence against women, sexual harassment against women, and are there clear support systems on that. If somebody says they were sexually harassed and they report it to management, if they're reporting systems, does management show commitment to zero sexual harassment or zero violence against women? So that organizational culture, in some cases, or in some companies, or in some organizations, you find that this might not be there, and women lack that support system to report such cases. Also have those support systems, say during emergencies, during pregnancy and the child caring age. I have had cases of women saying that my child was sick and I missed work, and the next time I went to work, I was told that I was missing work. I was, there's that word, it seems to escape me right now. I was absconding duty, exactly. So the organizational culture might be in such a way that they do not condone, or they do not even give that allowance for, you're a woman, you're somebody apart from this profession. So you can go out, take care of your things, or take care of the issues that might require your attention, and come back. So if there is not that kind of support system, or if the organization does not have the culture of quote unquote being human, you might find that females or women will feel like, this is not a friendly workplace for me. And you find that they might decide to, just leave. And as they leave, there is a lot of expertise that is being lost. There's a lot of experience that is being lost. And again, there is the voice that is being lost for the particular women or people in this particular gender in that workplace. Another very important issue that we face is discrimination in opportunities. Now, this discrimination comes in various ways. We have discrimination when being hired. You find that you go for an interview with male counterparts, and in some organizations, once they see you're a woman, impressive CV, impressive certifications and all that, impressive experience. But once they see that you're a woman, they say, we don't want a woman, because maybe down the line you'll start, you have emergencies, you have people to take care of and all that. So they think, some hiring managers think that when they hire women, they're going to have so many issues along the way. So they just opt, let's just have a man. It's easier to have a man to work with a man as opposed to a woman. There's also discrimination, again, during hiring, especially when you're a pregnant woman. This is an issue across the board, not just in the safety profession, and especially, say, in a construction project. They require an EHS professional or an EHS officer, and you turn up to the interview and you are visibly pregnant. So they know if this project is 18 months or 24 months, this woman will only stay here for about 3 months. Then they will start complaining of bed rest. So that's 1 month before maternity. Then they will go home for maternity for 3 months. Where are we going to remove another, EHS professional for that period that she will be there? So they choose to, just don't come here. Like, let's just hire a male as opposed to a female. There's also discrimination in opportunities when management are giving things like sponsorships for education and things like that. So you find that it's easier for an organization to pay for education, say certification, some further studies for men as opposed to for women, because they feel that we will train this woman or we'll train this female, we pour in our monies and all that, then she will get that certification or quote unquote paper or all that, and then she will leave. I believe most of us know that as years go by, there are more number of females that drop off from this profession as opposed to men from when we are starting out. So that is a major issue. Then, of course, sexual harassment and the absence of the weekend reporting systems. Again, I had already mentioned about this. If there's in a particular workplace, do they have reporting systems for females to report sexual harassment? Also, in some workplaces, they have not even defined what sexual harassment is. So when you face this sexual harassment and you report it, and the management will be like, but that was just a joke. You should joke more often. You should take things lightly. Do not take things to your head, things like that. And these are especially sexist remarks that might be made. So this, when we tell females, that is something very small. I mean, take it in. They didn't mean it. They were laughing. They were not serious. Of course, for the males or the people that are telling the females that, they'll be like, it was something very small. But for the individual professional, they might feel really attacked. They might feel really harassed. And, if this happens more times, then this particular female professional will not want to continue staying in that particular workplace. She might opt to just leave the job because it's not helping her mental well-being. Then there's also the issue of insufficient or lack of mentorship and support programs. For the support programs, I've already mentioned about it when I talked about the scholarships in the workplace. There's also the aspect of the mentorship. Now, again, because of the high number of dropouts of females in this particular profession, you find that there are very few women in leadership positions or who have gone ahead of us. So finding somebody who can mentor you, and I believe this was a point that was raised in our last webinar when Cecilia was presenting for those who are here. This is it's an actual problem that we face. So yes, we might find men who are willing to be mentors, but even so, it would feel better and it would be more, it would work more for us if it was a fellow female, because some of these issues the male mentors have not encountered. So yes, they might encourage us, but for a female, they might be able to tell us, I also face the same thing. You can do it too. You can overcome it. This is how I overcame it, and things like that. So it's better for when we have female mentorship, and this is an issue that we face. And we are very thankful for the male mentors who, hold our hands and tell us that, yeah, these challenges are there. It's male dominated, but you can do it. We're really grateful for such men, and we hope that there'll be more of the same, even as we ourselves grow ourselves and groom ourselves to be the mentors for the next generation or the upcoming professionals in the particular field. Then there is the issue of cultural beliefs. So there are so many cultural beliefs that work against women, and a very particular one is women don't go to mines. I don't know whether it's across the board, but I know in Kenya, in some of the gold mining communities, it's a taboo for a woman to get into the gold mines or to just even come in the vicinity of the mines. It's considered bad luck. And even when a woman is allowed, it's those women that, are past menopause. And they are just at the peripherals, like you just come and serve us tea or serve us food and things like that, but don't come into the mine itself. So those cultural beliefs hinder our progression as females, because say I'm a female professional, I've gotten a job in a mining site, and I get there and all these men are like, no, you can't come in here, because if you come in, then it's going to bring bad luck to us. We'll not get more gold, or we'll not get more of whatever we are mining. So these cultural beliefs work against our progression in this particular field. Another issue that we face, very subtle, that men might not be able to identify, is the extra caution that we are required to have while we are communicating ideas. Many times we find that in a room or in a boardroom or in a meeting, when we have an idea, we are conditioned to put it in a certain way with a lot of cushions and all that, and a lot of team spirit, in such a way that people will be like, oh yeah, we can adopt that. This does not, of course, happen in all organizations, but it's there in some organizations. And we find that if a woman just puts out her suggestions, people will be like, oh, okay, we might think about that. Then a male counterpart says the same thing, and they're like, yeah, that's a very great idea. And the woman goes like, what did I say that he didn't say? So such kind of things makes us, be extra cautious, make sure we prepare the people who are hearing well, then we deliver our suggestion so that it's picked. And this is not a challenge that men face, so it might be really demoralizing for females in this particular profession. So the other thing is, as women, people tend to feel like we don't know what we are doing, or we don't have the knowledge and the skills. We don't have enough knowledge, enough skills. We are not particularly or completely competent. So we find that as a woman, I'll need to work twice as hard, know twice as more, just want to make sure that I am competent enough, and more competent than what my male counterpart might feel, because I need to overcompensate for whatever, for being female. Because if, say, I am going to go to an electrical, people that are dealing with high voltage electrical lines, I need to be extra, like, I need to read, find case studies, find research projects and all that, to read, and so that I know that I am well prepared for such kind of thing, which is a good thing. But a male counterpart with my same experience would not require to go that that extra mile. So overcompensation is an issue that we might face, and at some point as a woman you might feel, this is becoming too tiring. Why can't I just be accepted with the knowledge that I have? Why can't I be listened to, and we build on that knowledge base that I have, as opposed to what a man might have. Then there's also the issue on that too, on the thick skin. This is where I was talking about sexual harassment and those sexist jokes that are made. And as a woman, people tell you that don't mind them, you need to have a thick skin and things like that. And this can also be very demoralizing to us as females in this profession. Then there's also the work-life balance. And my last point there is another gender issue that faces us as females in the profession is fellow women. So there are times when, there's a fellow woman who is in the profession with you, say a higher or same level or even a lower level, and they bring you down in one or an array of ways. So this can also be issues that this can also be an issue that might demoralize a woman and might feel that, let me just let this job go, let me leave this profession, let me go and find a business to start and grow and all that. Then there are also, in addition to the issues that are faced by men and women, then there are also issues that are faced by either of these who might be in this LGBTQI community, which is the lesbians, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersexual, and asexual. So if it's for a man, like I had said earlier, the man will face the issues that men face, but will also face some of these issues that face these people of this community. And if it's for a woman, same case, she will face the challenges that females face, and she'll also face some of these challenges. So the first thing is discrimination. When people, and being in this community, in our African culture, and also in some of our religious beliefs, we believe that these people are not quote unquote good. So if maybe the hiring manager is very big on the culture or the African beliefs, or very big on religious beliefs, you find that if an EHS professional, again, good qualifications, same as everyone else, or even much better qualifications, very competent and all that, good experience, but openly, identifies themselves as a member of this community, or even just from the look, when you look at somebody, you might see that, this person looks like, you might suspect that they might be in this community. So they might face discrimination in opportunities because, of how we've been brought up, or how society has made us face this kind of people. Then in some cases, these people might be prone to violence. Again, it stems from the religious beliefs and the culture or African beliefs that we have. Then these people might also be prone to sexual harassment and sexual assault. This is particularly, I have seen this for women who are professionals and who are in this community. So you find that males will make comments like, you cannot be in this community, you cannot be of this sexual orientation, sorry, I will do this to you to remind you that you're a woman and all that. So this kind of sexual harassment and sexual assault can be really demoralizing and can actually lead to psychological trauma for professionals who might be in this community. And it might make them, just you lose, they decide, I'm not going to do this safety thing anymore, and we lose on their experience again, we lose on their competence, and we lose on a whole field of knowledge by having these people go. So we've really talked a lot about some of the challenges that we face among all genders. Of course, we can keep this conversation going. But what are some of the things that we can do, or what are some of the things that can be done in the workplace to ensure that these challenges are at least addressed, and that the improvements are made in our particular organizations or companies. So one of the things that can be done is emboldened recruitment and retention efforts. So the hiring managers, or even when, as managers, safety managers, sometimes we sit in the panels when recruitments are being done. So we can have emboldened recruitment efforts whereby we encourage more females or more members of the LGBTQI community to be part of our teams, because they might bring a whole lot of knowledge that we didn't know about. And also on the retention, the management should find ways to ensure that, yes, these people, we've recruited them, how can we ensure that they are retained? And by some of the ways that we can do that is look at the problems they're facing and address them. If it's something like maternal care facilities that are not there, or policies that are not friendly to new mothers, or mothers of young children, then the management can try and make them more friendly, such that these people feel more, they feel that their needs are looked into, and that will even boost their morale to work and continue giving their services in the workplace. The other thing that can be done is to manufacture or source for fitting PPE. So we can make noise, and this is good noise, to the manufacturers and tell them, we have acquired a large array of women, or a large array of sizes and all that of women. So try and make more inclusive personal protective equipment for all these kind of people. And also when we are sourcing for the equipment, first of all, we need to talk with the people that will be using this PPE, ask them, what would you need? Some people feel that, I have this kind of shoe size, I am a small feet. Most times they just ask, you're a size what? Size 5, size 6, size 7, but they don't know whether you're a narrow fit or a small fit, or you have a good leg. I don't want to say a fat leg, so that. So when you're sourcing for PPE, ensure that they are fitting and that they are going to be used well by the people that are using them. The other thing that can be done is formalize mentorship and sponsorship programs. So we had raised this as an issue again in the previous webinar. And for women, we said that there is a mentorship program, an association where there are women, that's the Society of Women in Safety, Health and Environment in Africa. We can have more of these associations which offer mentorship programs for women. So for the women that are here, you can just search them and find them out and get a mentor. For the people that are in management level, and even us as professionals, we can continue lobbying for equal sponsorship for fellow women who are in the profession. If we're in the workplace with a woman and management wants somebody to go for a particular course, say maybe an ISO course or something like that, you can say that I've always gone for this kind of things. Why don't this woman go this time, so that we can have a more diverse, more experienced team, as opposed to one particular person or a particular group of people that are always going for these trainings. Then we also have diversity and inclusion in workplaces with more women in leadership. Of course, the more that we recruit and retain women, then as the years go by, then we'll have more women that are in the leadership positions. Then the other thing that can be done is properly defined policies against maybe sexual harassment, what workplace violence is, just like we have the well-defined drugs and drugs abuse policies or the safety policies that we can have something that is well-defined for what is a workplace what can be defined as workplace violence in this particular organization, and what will be the repercussions of engaging in such kind of violence. The same goes for sexual harassment. Clearly define what is sexual harassment, what passes for sexual harassment in this particular organization, and what are the repercussions if somebody is proved to have harassed a fellow employee or a colleague, you harass them sexually. Also, this will also include reporting systems, and ensure that when we are creating these reporting systems, make sure that they are robust, such that people know that even if I go and report, something will be done, as opposed to reporting and nothing is done. So even other people that might see the same, they'll be like, even if we report, nothing is ever done. So have well developed reporting systems and how to deal with them. Then another very important thing, and this is an emerging issue, is the building of emotional intelligence. So this goes for both males and females, but especially for women. So emotional intelligence is the, is the capacity to be aware of, to control and effectively express your emotions, as well as handle interpersonal relationships empathetically. So we find that in the workplace, the more you build on your emotional intelligence, the more you can thrive in both your personal and your professional life. So for everyone here, not just the women, you need to build on or to be aware of the 5 characteristics of emotional intelligence, and that is, you need to be self-aware. Then once you know yourself, you also need to self-regulate yourself, know how to regulate yourself, need to have motivation, know what motivates you. You need to have empathy, and you need to have social skills. Also, you need to know that at any given time, or in the workplace, or even at, as a social being, there's always a right time, a right way, and a right place to effectively express yourself. So if you're angry, or if somebody says something that you are not, that doesn't make you happy, you don't just shout in their face and all that. Build your emotional intelligence capacity to be able to handle that specific situation and any other situation that might arise. And again, or to add to that, the last point is provision of support systems or programs for traumatic experiences that might occur in the workplace. Remember, we said that where an incident has occurred in the workplace, and us as professionals, we're the ones that are going to investigate the incident and all that. Sometimes we feel some traumatic, that trauma might affect us in an array of ways. So you might have counseling sessions, you might have counseling, a counselor on site or in your organization. You might also use a mental health companies that might be there. Sometimes, especially as Africans, we feel that, you don't go telling your problem to just anyone. So you can also seek the services of anonymous mental health companies. I know of one which is called Inuka Mental Wellness, I think. So you can just Google it, and they offer corporate sessions. They also offer individual sessions for anyone that might require any support psychologically, or basically in regards to mental wellness. So in conclusion, we need to understand that there are differences in the workplace, and this diversity, basically, they bring along a lot of opportunities to protect the workforce at large. So these diverse perspectives are needed for diverse problems. And when differences are taken into account, everyone benefits. It's not always about special treatment. We are not advocating for special treatment for women, or we're not advocating for special treatment for the LGBTQIA community. It's for everyone. Everyone benefits at the end of the day. And with that, I'd like to end my presentation. I'm opening the floor to anyone that might have any of those. Yeah, so let's talk.
Okay, thank you, Helen. It's unfortunate I related to use my personal phone. The power cut here, so I'm no longer connected on the PC. But thank you for that insightful presentation. And everyone, I get you've gained a lot of points. We have gained a lot of facts from what Helen presented. And what I would like to highlight, as everyone is also gathering their thoughts on the subject, is that even in the same workplace, with the same job title, doing the same tasks, male and females can experience different demands. They can experience different exposures, and they can experience different effects from what they can be exposed to. So we are saying, that's why we are saying, like I highlighted at the beginning, in every approach that we use in our workplaces, let's use gender sensitive approaches. That is, those approaches that acknowledges visible difference between male and female and other gender, so that whenever we are managing any systems, whenever we are managing any safety issues, any environmental issues, or any health issues, those things are taken into account. Those differences are considered, so that we will all realize positive results. Thank you for that, Helen. I am giving this opportunity to everyone. We need to talk more about this. If there's someone who might want to come up. Okay. Like Cecilia said, at the beginning, she highlighted some of the gender issues that affect that male. And in my opinion, I don't think those are the only issues. But as she said, men are not keen to share their experiences. They are not keen to share their problems. They are not keen to share their psychological issues. So they tend to swallow all those emotions, all those feelings. But we are saying, let's take this opportunity and highlight all those things and come up with solutions all together on how they can be addressed in our workplaces as well as at home. So everyone, let's take this opportunity, contribute our thoughts on this subject, what we think and what we can be done. Those who might want to add or any other comments.
Yes, Tish, there's a contribution from Hillary. She's talking about an experience where they had a meeting and people naturally expected the woman to serve the people. It's unfortunate how workplaces can be, and this is a great topic to have been in the floor today. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you, Hillary, for that contribution. Yes, we need to take into consideration everything that affects our operations in our workplaces, and the issues of gender are one of those things that we need to consider. And thanks to Helen, she has highlighted some of the issues that affect across all gender and what needs to be done. Is there anyone else who might want to on this subject? Okay, if not, I'm not seeing anyone raising their hand. I guess everyone got what everything from this presentation, and let's take all these points and drive them home and implement them in our workplaces and implement them in our communities, so that we all have safe and healthy operations and lives, even during this COVID. Yes, Ranga. I can see there's a hand from Ranga.
Yes, Tish, I would like to share an experience that I had while I was working in the electrical industry. You know, it's a male-dominated industry, like what Helen highlighted in the construction or in the gas. And people would generally expect women to get on those ladders while fixing electricity faults. But in my it's not always a 50-50 thing. We need to assess the situation, we need to assess the provisions of the work, if they are safe for the women that we actually work with. So I support what she said. I understand as much as we are promoting gender equality in terms of employment opportunities, we consider it for the women that we work with. Thank you, Helen, for the presentation. That was my contribution.
Okay, thank you, Ranga, for that contribution. Is there anyone else who might want to add something on this subject, on this topic? Yes, yes, Tine. I can see Tine Yanga. You can come after.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Helen, for a good presentation that you've given. Can you scroll back to slide number 8? I would like to have a comment on this issue and to this group of society that Helen actually pointed out. It is very, very difficult to address these issues because I assume through my experience, most of the companies that we do have and I have worked with, they actually discriminate this kind of group that Helen have actually mentioned. But I think now it is important that we need to take into consideration this kind of group, having different kind of policies that accommodate these guys to have their contribution towards I would like to see I can't see the screen. Anyway, I would like to say, I think it is important for us to have certain policies that we need to adopt at workplace that actually accommodate this group of society. As far as I look, very few countries, they really accept this group of society. Like here in Zimbabwe, it is very, very difficult for us to have these policies at workplace, but at national level, this kind of group are kind of, I don't know what a good word to use, but they are not really good accommodative at the national level. But I think it is very important to have these policies or strategies that we have so that we can accommodate these guys into our community and at the workplace so that they can experience better workplaces and environments the same as we are. That's my contribution. Unfortunately, I wanted to say much more, but I'm having challenges with my network here. But I think if you can hear me, this is my contribution. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chinyanga. Thank you for your contribution. Is there anyone else who might want to add something? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Helen, for that insightful. Yes, Kongan. I can see there's a hand. You can
okay.
Yes, Konga, you can go on.
Hello. Yes, sorry, I was. Okay, yep, thank you. Yeah, no, look, I just want to say thank you to Wanjiku for sharing for her presentation. Very the forefront, the challenges that are encountered. Some of these things we take them for granted. I mean, fair to say they've actually considered much around men themselves facing challenges around gender. And then also more perspective brought in around the challenges that women face. We just go and pick up PPE. So it must be frustrating. So I'm glad that we're having these conversations. Some of the topics tend to be rather sensitive, particularly in the African context. And I think the more we have these conversations, they bring awareness and capacitation. So thank you very much for that, Wanjiku. Much learnings for myself, and I'm sure for everyone else. That was just my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you for emphasizing on that. Yes, there are a lot of issues that Wanjiku highlighted, and I guess with all that's being discussed, everyone is going to come up with more and more solutions on how these issues can be addressed and how they can be managed in our workplaces, in our communities, and everywhere that we are. Thank you for that. Let me take this opportunity to appreciate our guest presenter for that insightful presentation that she had brought to us, and all the points that she highlighted, and all the issues that she presented in the context of gender safety. And I guess everyone is going to assimilate all the points that were raised in this presentation, in this discussion, and we are going to implement them in our workplaces, at our homes, in our communities, so that we will all be safe and yeah. And without taking much of our time, let me highlight a few announcements for what's ahead. And before I jump into that, as my co-host is sharing the screen, let me appreciate everyone who took part in this discussion and everyone who joined in. All the points that were raised, all the toolbox, and all the points that were raised that were discussed in our main presentation, I guess they are going to help us. There is a lot that was raised in this, and we need all to gather around and bring more solutions to some of the issues that were raised and address them. Yeah, so for our upcoming session, which is the first thing is that initially where we were having this webinar session on fortnight basis, that is after every 2 weeks on a Friday. But now we have moved on to have these sessions on weekly basis. And for our upcoming session, that is next Friday, we are going to have time machine. And since the month of August, we declared it the month of women in safety and women in SHE. So our next topic with Tarzan Shin, a social worker, we are going to be discussing on sexual harassment. It's one of the issues that was brought up by Helen, but in this session we are going to deep dive into more detail of that subject and discuss it with Tarzan Shin. So let's ensure that we register and we join in on that session. And for those who might want to communicate with us, to get in touch with us, those are our contact details, the email, the WhatsApp numbers. You can also visit our page for more information. And we are glad that the magazine that we launched in July, it has received a lot of traction, and we wish that everyone will get their copy, and they will get more of that from those magazines. And so this marks the end of our session, and I would like to thank everyone for taking part of this presentation, and shared by Barney also. Before I close it, it's our esh.africa group link. You can join that WhatsApp group. There are more discussions that are done in that group, pertaining different issues. Even this one that has just been presented, I will further on discuss it on that WhatsApp group. So if you don't want to miss out, ensure that you follow that link and join in the esh.africa group. So yeah, this marks the end of our session, and thanks everyone for joining in once again. Thanks to you, Helen, and thanks to you, Tine, for the insightful presentation that you gave us. So let me take this opportunity to call upon everyone to turn on your video, your video camera, so that we can take a group photo like we always do. It's unfortunate because of these COVID times, we are now using our online platforms to meet and discuss certain issues. So we also need to use the same system and take our photo like we always do physically. So let's turn on our video cameras and wait for a group photo. Cohorts, are you ready? Okay, everyone, let's say cheese. The cohort is taking the picture. Okay, yes. Okay, thank you. Like, so, yeah, this brings us to the end of the session. Thanks, everyone.